It's the Odyssey month, so I thought, in spirit of the Odyssey coming out, let's rate Christopher Nolan's movies. I'm really excited for the Odyssey. I think Christopher Nolan's one of the best filmmakers of all time. I really love his film style. I love his non-linear storytelling style. I think he's a master at it. Like, there's no one that does it better than him. So I'm really excited for the Odyssey. Just before I start, I do want to remind you, this is my opinion. This is how I see, feel, enjoy his movies. How I rank them, how I see them, and how I enjoy them. There's not a right or a wrong way. You might enjoy them differently. You might rank them different, and that's fine. At the end of the day, film is subjective. What I enjoy and what you enjoy is completely different. I'm going to rank them from his 12, because obviously I haven't seen the Odyssey yet, so I'm going to rank them from his previous 12 movies from worst to best. So at number 12, I have, and this is obvious, the following. I feel like a lot of people haven't actually seen this movie. They just rate it as his worst movie because everyone else rates it as their worst movie. It's not a terrible movie. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just a movie that Christopher Nolan produced or gave us the best movie he could at that time with the budget he had. I think the budget was like $50,000. It's pretty much just a film student's movie. That's what it is. If you go in with that mindset and knowing that, it's not a terrible movie. And this movie kind of lays the foundation to how his career is going to progress, or like the kind of filmmaker he's going to be. And you can see the techniques in this movie that he just carries on throughout his career. Like, I would recommend watching it. If you're a Christopher Nolan fan, everyone should give it a watch. At number 11, I have The Dark Knight Rises. If I'm not including the following because of just the circumstances surrounding that movie, and just a lot of people, when they look at Christopher Nolan's filmography, they don't consider the following to be like an official Nolan movie. I mean, it is, but if you're really looking at it from through that lens, The Dark Knight Rises, in my opinion, is his worst movie. It saddens me to say that because I am a huge Batman fan. I love Batman. I have Batman tattoos on me. It's ridiculous and they're stupid tattoos, but I love them. As a fan of Batman, it's not a good movie. I remember when I first watched this, and I think I was like 16 or 17 at the time. But when I watched this, I thought this was the greatest movie I'd ever seen, just because I'm such a big Batman fan. I was looking at it with like a very biased view. But the more I've watched it over the years, like, this is not a great movie. It's a mess. It's clunky at times. There's a lot of plot holes in it. For a lot of the movie, it just kind of feels like Christopher Nolan's phoning it in because he's just trying to end the franchise. At times, it really feels like this isn't the movie that he wanted to make, but he just kind of wanted to end it. And that's how it feels. It just feels like they just threw a bunch of stuff into a script. There are some good moments in this movie. Like, I really like Tom Hardy's Bane. So if I'm not including the following, I reckon it's his worst movie. At number 10, I have Insomnia. Now, I don't think this is his worst movie like a lot of people think it is. I still think it's a good film. I think it's a movie that has a lot of positives in it. Like, I think the setting of it being in Alaska and the theme of it just always being daylight, and how it perfectly captures or visualizes the exhaustion from the protagonist, like Al Pacino's character. And I also think acting in it is really good as well. Like, I think Al Pacino and Robin Williams are both really good in it. But I think what makes this one of his weaker movies is it wasn't really a Nolan movie. It was a movie that seemed like Warner Brothers gave him, or it was kind of like a movie they gave him as an ultimatum so he could get a big budget to do Batman Begins. Because he didn't write this. He directed it. This is the only movie he doesn't actually write or have any writing credit for. And I think he really just took on the project to prove that he could handle a big budget movie. And the movie does lack a lot of Christopher Nolan's signature styles, and it's very much like a standard, predictable crime thriller. And while I think the movie feels bland and flat compared to the rest of his filmography, I think it's a really important movie in his overall film career. Because, as I said, this was kind of like a stepping stone movie for him. And I think if he didn't make this movie, we wouldn't have the movies that we have today from him. I think this gave him what he needed to pitch Batman Begins to Warner Brothers. So that's why I have it higher than The Dark Knight Rises, because at the stage that Christopher Nolan was in his career, The Dark Knight Rises should be a far better film. At number 9, I feel like this is going to get some hate, but I have Interstellar. I don't love Interstellar. I've seen it a few times now. My opinion on that movie never changes. I don't understand how this movie's become such a cult classic, or like it has such a huge cult following. I don't get how this movie has become the most watched movie on Letterboxd. It's a good movie. I just don't think it's this cinematic masterpiece that everyone puts it. Like, everyone puts this movie on this pedestal of one of the greatest movies ever made. Like, some people consider this movie as the best movie ever made. I just don't think it's that great of a movie. I appreciate what this movie does, like, cinematically. Like, it is a beautifully shot movie. The space sequences, I can appreciate that, like, this is very scientifically grounded. I enjoyed the fact that they created a whole black hole, a whole wormhole. I just don't think it's that good of a movie. I find, like, the exposition to be clumsy. Like, one of the critiques, and I still see this now, or like hear it, when this movie first came out, it's still there now. The sound is so bad. Like, the music's so loud at times. Like, sometimes it's hard to hear things, hard to hear people talk. I don't see it as the movie that people rate it as now. Like, I just don't. I understand the themes and I appreciate them, and I appreciate what Nolan was trying to do with this movie. I just don't think it paid off as much for me. I just don't rate it as highly as other people do. And at number 8, this is going to get even more hate, but I have Tenet. I remember I watched this at the movies and I actually really enjoyed watching this. I was never bored watching this. Like, the tempo and the pace in this movie, it was always fast and it always kept me engaged. I liked the concept of temporal inversion. Like, I enjoyed that. I thought it was really well done. I thought the acting in this movie was really good. Like, I really enjoyed it. But I can understand how that can, like, negatively impact the movie. And I can see why people didn't enjoy the movie and it's an overly complicated plot. Like, I understand that. And if I just talked about Interstellar with the sound mixing issues it has, Tenet, the sound or the sound mixing issues in Tenet I would think is even worse. I do think this movie isn't the best written. For example, like John David Washington's character, like, his name's the protagonist. What is that? And it has the same issue I think it has with Interstellar, just like clumsy exposition. The whole thing with the film about it's like famous advice to not try and understand the movie, but then the whole movie is spent trying to explain the movie. I still really enjoyed this movie. Like, the acting between John David Washington and Robert Pattinson, their chemistry was really strong. And I think those two really carried this movie. I thought the action sequences in this movie were really good as well. I almost thought that this was Christopher Nolan kind of showcasing his James Bond movie or his idea for James Bond. I enjoyed it more than Interstellar. I know some people think it's insane for me to rank it higher, but I enjoyed it more. And if someone only gave me 2 movies to watch and one of them was Interstellar and the other one was Tenet, I'm going to choose Tenet. At number 7, I had Batman Begins. As I went up this list, these movies got harder and harder to rank. I love Batman Begins. I think maybe it's top 3 best origin stories for a superhero. I thought Batman Begins was actually the gold standard for, like, superhero origin movies. I think this is Christian Bale's actually best version of Batman throughout the whole trilogy. I liked Christopher Nolan's grounded approach to the movie, but I do think there's certain sequences in this movie that just haven't aged that well. But for the most part, I think it's like an elite superhero movie. Like, I think it's an elite comic book movie. At number 5, I have Dunkirk. When I first watched Dunkirk, I really didn't enjoy it, like, at all. As I've said before on this channel, Christopher Nolan sometimes makes movies for later on, or some of these movies, they find new life later on. Kind of like Interstellar. When that first came out, that was very negatively received. When I first watched Dunkirk, it was okay. After watching it a couple of times, I really like this movie. I really like what Christopher Nolan tried to do with this movie. This movie wasn't about specific acting performances. The main character was the story of Dunkirk. And I like how Christopher Nolan was so ambitious with this movie. Up until that point in that time, that was probably one of his most ambitious movies. And the cinematography by Hoyt van Hoytema, like, it's so good in that. It's so beautifully shot. His commitment to the practical effects, and then you have Hans Zimmer's soundtrack that's just perfectly matches the terror of the situation. Christopher Nolan goes with the approach of visual storytelling with this movie rather than using dialogue to tell the story. It works so well. Once I got up to this point in the list, like, it was hard. Even putting Dunkirk at 6 now, I feel like it's a bit low, but like the next run of movies, it was so hard to place them. At 5, I have Memento. In my opinion, I think this is one of his most underrated movies. I feel like this movie just flies under the radar. I love this movie. I think this is one of his best movies. And if you watch this movie, you can really see how much Oppenheimer was inspired by this movie. The filmmaking techniques, the storytelling techniques, you can see elements in this movie that are also in Oppenheimer. Like, I love this movie. I think it's such a brilliant movie. And I think this movie also has one of the most underrated twists in cinema history. The whole thing with the movie is Guy Pearce's character has short-term memory loss, and the way Christopher Nolan tells this story, it gives you short-term memory loss. Like, it's brilliant. It's so well made. At number 4, I have Inception. I think Inception is probably the best or one of the best original movies made of the 21st century. This movie is so good. This movie is about as close as you can get to perfect. The world building in this is flawless. The acting in this is just perfect. No one misses a beat in this movie. Everyone's just phenomenal in this movie. This movie is like forever embedded in film history, and there's still debates that go on today about the ending of that movie. This movie like redefined modern sci-fi cinema. At number 3, just because I'm such a huge Batman fan. I had The Dark Knight. Some people might have this at number 1, but I have it at number 3. This movie is about as close as you'll get to a perfect comic book movie. I don't need to go into detail about Heath Ledger. I haven't seen a better villain performance in any film. To me, Heath Ledger's Joker is the best villain in film history. Some people say this movie is aged badly. I don't think so. I think this movie still holds up. It's still brilliant. It's still so good. I don't think Christian Bale's Batman is as solid as he is in Batman Begins. But like the whole movie, it's just brilliant. At number 2, I have The Prestige. I really wanted to put this number 1. Like I really wanted to, and you probably figured out what number 1's going to be. This was hard. This was so hard. Like this movie is so good. Like it's so brilliantly done. The acting in it is just phenomenal. Like Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, they're perfect in this. They're so good in this. The way Christopher Nolan tells this story, the movie itself is the magic trick. And just watching the two characters of Alfred Borden and Robert Angier destroy their lives. Robert Angier's obsession with Alfred Borden's trick, and then Alfred Borden's obsession with preserving his trick. Watching these two characters at the ultimate cost of their obsession, it's such a flawless movie. I think the twist in this movie, it's one of the best twists. If not, I think it might be the best twist in cinema history. This movie, I really wanted to put it number 1. I really did. But as you can guess, number 1's Oppenheimer. And the reason why I put Oppenheimer as number 1 is because I just think this is Christopher Nolan's masterpiece. I think the movie just totally reinvents the biopic genre. I think it's the best example of what a good biopic should be. There's none of that chronological from birth to death story. It just focuses on one specific thing and it tells it so brilliantly. Cillian Murphy's perfect in this. He's flawless in this. Like he's so good in this. The way he portrays Oppenheimer as not really a hero, but also not really a villain, but then he also is a hero, but then he also is a villain because of the things he did. He has so many complex layers to him. Plays him as just like this tortured man who, at the end of the movie, realizes that he's handed this world a death sentence. Ludwig Göransson's score in this movie is just phenomenal. The way it matches up to the movie, it's so perfect. And the cinematography from Hoyt van Hoytema again, it's brilliant. And the use of the lack of CGI and just the practical effects that really just makes this movie what it is. The supporting cast of the movie is brilliant. Like Robert Downey Jr. is phenomenal. Emily Blunt, I think this might be one of her best performances. All packaged together, I personally think this is Christopher Nolan's masterpiece. It's a perfect movie. It's hard to say, but I think it might be like top 5 best movies of the 21st century. Like I really do think it's that good. For like pure enjoyment and love for it, I really wanted to put The Prestige number 1. If I was to rank all these movies based on what I would watch the most, I would put The Prestige number 1 and The Dark Knight number 2. If I'm looking at it from just a pure perspective of I'm ranking them as what I think to be his best movies as a whole, then yeah, I think Oppenheimer's number 1. It's Christopher Nolan at his best.